The Ebola outbreak in DR Congo is sending ripples of instability across the continent. In Kenya, 2 people have reportedly died as police cracked down on protests over plans to build a quarantine centre for US nationals. The country has no cases of the virus, suspected as having killed dozens of people in DRC since the outbreak was announced in mid-May. But Washington's deal with Nairobi to use Kenyan soil as a screening stop for Americans at risk of the disease has left many feeling furious.
I'm very much against the facility because one thing, if the US are genuine about helping the case of Ebola, they will take the facility to US because they have the technological know-how, they have the manpower, they have the resources to do that, to contain that Ebola in their country. But Kenya is a weak economy and it's a poor state, you see. So we don't have the capacity to do that. So bringing that here is exposing the lives of Kenyans.
The Americans themselves have acknowledged and have confirmed that they do not have the capacity to handle the Ebola patients in their country. Why is it possible for us, a third world country, how is it even viable that Kenya will be able to handle corona patients?
Well, the US State Department says it will commit $13.5 million towards Kenya's Ebola preparedness. Kenyan President William Ruto says that the popular pushback in his country is an overreaction and that the proposed US facility is neither unique nor exceptional.
We are a responsible government. We know what we are doing. So people should relax. Politicians should avoid reckless, unnecessary talk that doesn't mean anything. I am very confident about what we are doing as a country. I can assure the people of Kenya that the agreement between the government of Kenya and the American government is for the good of our country.
Now, on Tuesday, the Kenyan High Court extended last week's suspension order over the facility, which was meant to open at the Laikipia Air Base at the end of last month. The courts also prohibited the transfer of patients from third countries to Kenya. Our Bastien Renouil tells us more.
A very urgent issue, according to the court and according to the 2 civil rights organizations behind the petitions. They say that the lives of Kenyans are at risk and that there is a risk of importing Ebola in the country. There is no Ebola case in Kenya at the moment. And they also say that the Kenyan government is not following the Kenyan constitution, that before signing such agreement, the government should have consulted the National Assembly or the public, and it was not done. And I can tell you that this Tuesday morning, the 2 organizations behind these petitions were quite surprised when the case opened, because there was no representative of the Kenyan government. Its lawyer arrived much later.
When directions were being issued on the LSK petition, an advocate entered appearance and indicated that he had instructions to act on behalf of the government, but that he had not been told the exact position the government would be taking, and no documents were filed or have been filed by the government indeed up to now. And for us, we read this as a very flagrant, malicious attempt by the government to not just disobey the court order, but to disregard the public views about this Ebola issue.
And indeed, many people here are afraid that the Kenyan government will continue its project. That's why many people were demonstrating in the town of Nanyuki on Monday. The court ordered the Kenyan government to publish the full agreement that was signed with the US within 7 days. And it also ordered the Kenyan government to publish the health protocols that will be followed in order to protect the life of Kenyans. The case will be heard again at the High Court here in Nairobi on the 23rd of June.